So hi everyone, my name is Liz. I am just graduating now. So I did my honors specialization in English language and literature and creative writing with a minor in French translation and language. Haley, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi. I was like more confused.
Sorry.
Hi, I'm Haley. I am taking over for Liz. Did you already say that?
Not yet.
President? Oh.
What degree are you taking?
Oh, I'm doing an honors specialization in English and creative writing, and I'm in the New School for Advanced Studies in the Arts Humanities, which is an interdisciplinary program, so you get to learn a little bit about all the departments in arts, kind of like what you're doing today.
So the reason that we're here today is just to give you a brief overview of the Arts and Humanities Students Council. And for myself, I'm feeling some nostalgia right now because this is actually our council room. So there have been many a debate and many an event in here. So when I was in my first year, I didn't really know what to do with myself. I was an absolute hot mess. You know, I did not handle the transition to university very well. And because I was used to living on, living alone in the sense I had my own room, I had my own bathroom, but now I had to deal with a new city, new friends, a complete change of life, plus, you know, the stress of academics and seeing my grades go down. So I reached out for help. I talked to some people, and I ended up actually doing more extracurricularly. And at first it kind of seems like a catch-22, you know, why, if you're feeling so sad and depressed, would you reach out and do more? But it gave me a sense of belonging and a sense of community. So I started off in the leadership and mentorship program, but because of that I learned about the Arts and Humanities Students Council. And from council I've gained that sense of belonging and of community. So we're a group of 50 passionate students who really care about our faculty. So we offer academic advocacy and support, events, publishing opportunities. We bring in big name speakers. We offer a play every year. Jonas is actually our play director. And so my journey with council started in my second year when I was basically the assistant to the VP Academics. In my third year, I became VP Academics, and in my fourth year, I became president. And so Haley next year is going to be your president, which is really exciting because she's absolutely phenomenal. And I'm sure that we all love council the same amount. So if you ever have any questions or concerns, and even if you aren't in arts and humanities, just talk to your faculty council. As well, something I like to tell every student is that if you have any problem, doesn't matter what it is, talk to someone and you will get help. If you ask for help, you'll receive it, but it doesn't go the other way in the sense that you are captain of your own ship now. So it is up to you to ask for help, and that can be stressful at first, but there's so many different options to help. So for example, when you come into Western, you're automatically paired up with two best friends. So you get someone from the leadership and mentorship program, they're called a peer mentor, but you also get a SOF. So SOFs are more for the social aspect of things, and peer mentors tend to be more for the academic side of things. And these people are here to make sure that you don't, implode during your first time at Western. If you choose to move into residence, what would happen is your parents would drive up in a car, and these SOFs, that you think they're insane because they're dressed brightly, they're shouting, they're cheering. They drag you out of your car, literally. Like, it's like, bye mom, bye dad, done. And they move you in, like they take your stuff, you don't have to move a thing. And they're immediately like, let's show you around Western. So they're the ones who help you out during orientation week, so they show you where to go to all of your classes. They help you out for your first time here. So with that, a week, orientation week, it's the only time in your life when you can sit down beside someone and it's not weird to be like, hey, what's your name? Let's be besties for the resties, because you will be. And that's actually one way it's true. Because it is scary coming to university and not having any friends and not having that network. But because everyone's in the same boat, though. Everyone is panicking as much as you are, even though nobody talks about it. So, for example, I sat beside someone in one of my classes. We're still friends now. You always ask the same questions. It's usually, hey, what's your name? What's your faculty? What residence are you in? And after that, you really connect. So in residence, there's usually a minimum of 32 people on each floor, and that's because Western actually did research proving that 32 people is the minimum number you can have to form a community. What that means is that even if you're not, best friends with your roommates, you can still cohabitate with them, but you will be friends with someone else on your floor because someone else is guaranteed to have similar interests to you. Speaking of roommates, if you choose to go into residence, then you fill out a questionnaire about what you would like to see in a roommate, what you see in yourself. So for example, I go to bed early, I wake up late, do you choose to drink, do you choose to smoke, or do you choose to smoke, are you messy, are you clean? if you go into residence, fill that out honestly. Don't fill it out when your parents are around, because you will be matched with someone who fills it out the exact same as you. And it's the eHarmony of Western, because it really does work, and it matches you with someone who has similar living styles to you. 4 years later, I'm still living with the same roommate, with 2 other girls off campus. So we haven't killed each other yet, you know, we're still friends. We live together very well because we're both messy, so we're both okay with that. If you choose to live off campus, that's fine as well. You can, some people are from London, so they live with their parents. You could still get that same Western experience. It's a little bit more of an effort, but there is a Society of Off-Campus Students, so SOCs. They're your SOFs as well, and they are able to provide a lot of information, a lot of activities. So if you want to have a great time, you will have a great time, and that goes for anything. I was very fortunate in that over my 4 years here, I was able to have that brochure experience. I was able to get involved in so many things. I got to climb to the top of UC Tower, like, you know, that really famous Hogwarts-looking building. Like, I got to climb to the top of that, and I'm like one of 10 students who could do that, and that was truly life-changing. Because it realized, you know, if you get involved, you can see so much, and council has opened up so many doors that I didn't even know could be open. I've already had a lot of, you know, job offers, volunteer opportunities. So if you make an effort to get out and get involved, you know, lots of good things will happen. So what I've found is that I've worked at summer academic orientation for 3 years now. So summer academic orientation is a one-day event where we bring in students who have chosen to come to Western, and we teach them all about Western life. So, you know, the services and resources we offer, we also create your schedule for you, so it's totally stress-free. Since I've never left Western, I came from Guelph, but because I've worked here every summer, I've never left. So it really still feels like I'm just in one really long first year. So I've seen thousands of students at this point, and I find that there's a lot of similar questions, but I find that students are usually uncomfortable with asking questions in a public environment. So what I'd like you to do is, you should have received a schedule of today. If you can take that out, turn it over, write down 2 questions you have about university, plus draw a picture of myself or Jonas. So it can, just like, it can be pretty, it can be ugly, it can be Art Deco. And these questions can be anything, you know, if you're really embarrassed about asking something, if it's something general, go for it. Hi guys, thank you so much. Thank you for your participation. So again, shout out to my lovely new friend who drew me with a halo to balance out the devil I got earlier today, so thank you. So how hard is it to make friends and get involved if you don't live on campus or in residence? It's still very easy to make friends, because if you were to take the group of off-campus students and put them together, that's the largest residence, as in, out of everyone, the largest group of students is living off campus. So what I would recommend for anyone off campus is join the Society of Off-Campus Students, and you'll get more information on that. So what it is that during the orientation week, you're grouped together with a SOF. So for example, and off campus is the largest group, as I said, so there's like 80 SOFs or something. So in that group, you'll meet a lot of different people who are also off campus. But again, the people you sit beside in class will be some of your really good friends. Tutorials, great opportunity, because many classes have a lecture component and a tutorial component, so that's very different from high school. So the lecture component is similar to this, where you'd have a professor just talking at you. There's less two-way feedback, but a tutorial is usually done by a master's student or a PhD student, and that's more, it's much smaller. So for example, with Dr. Bentley, my class was about 120 people. My tutorial was with 25 people. So it was more like high school. So that's where I got to know people more, because we did group work, you know, we did small activities, so I got to meet a lot of my friends there. So out of 25 people, I'm still friends with 5 of them. So that's a pretty good ratio right there. And again, I really, really recommend joining an activity. It doesn't have to be council. It can be a club. It can be an athletic. With clubs, there's over 200 clubs, everything from the knitting club to the skydiving club. There's a Maple Leafs club, but like no one's in it because they suck. Shots fired. So just join something and join it early, because it will give you that impetus to get up in the morning. Jonas, what's your first question?
Cool. Okay. We've got like a whole stack of these. I'm going to try and fire off a bunch of them. Okay, so what is the best place to chill at Western? That's up for debate, but there are a lot of good places to chill at Western. A big favorite is the Mustang Lounge, which is in the UCC. There are a lot of comfy chairs there. It's a good place. There are couches up in second floor UCC, which some people lock down. UCC, the building is open 24/7, so you can go in there no matter how late, and like if you're having a late night study session during exam hours, go up. If those couches are empty, you can take a nap. I've napped on those couches before. Pretty good place to chill. The atrium in the physics and astronomy building is another good place. They just finished redoing it. This past year, I think, was when the construction finally finished. It's really beautiful. Again, lots of comfy chairs. Chilling in the library is not recommended because generally you're supposed to be pretty quiet. If you want to chill with a book, library is a good spot.
One thing I will warn you about sleeping on campus is there is a Facebook group called Sleepers of Western. It is very popular, so many times people will take pictures of you and publicly post it to Facebook, so just be careful, just FYI.
Where do you sit during a lecture? Like in this room. You sit wherever you want. Some people sit near the front. I like to sit maybe not in the frontmost row, but like second or third row. But if you feel like you are more comfortable sitting in the back, like maybe you feel like there's too much pressure to be in the first few rows, perfectly fine. Everyone's got to sit somewhere. How much work do professors give in university? Entirely dependent on the course. Generally, you will have two aspects of workload, especially in the Faculty of Arts Humanities. You'll have your readings that you'll be responsible for each work, or for each week. So you'll have to get whatever readings done that you're supposed to have done for the lecture so that you can actually understand what the prof is saying. The prof is going to be talking about a book or a play or what have you. You generally want to have read that so that you know what he's talking about. The second aspect will be your assignments. So there's less busy work in terms of like week to week. You won't have like a quiz every week per se, or you won't have homework to do every night, but you will have maybe three essays over the entire course. And these will require between like 10 to maybe 15 hours of work to complete the essay. So it's less small assignments and more like big assignments. So you might have an essay that's worth 30% of your entire grade. What time in the morning do classes start? That depends on the course. As you get into your later years, you have more ability to sort of choose your schedule and how it will look. So this year, I don't have any classes that start before 12:30, and most days I don't start until 1:30. It's great. I don't like getting up early in the morning, and now I don't have to.
And by contrast, Monday to Friday I start at 9:30. So, and I chose that. You know, I'm a morning person, so it sometimes you just have to take a class at a certain time. But Jonas and I are very different people in that aspect. So.
I also don't understand why this says don't read out loud, because these are perfectly reasonable questions. Why is purple the color? Well, I actually don't really know the answer.
Well, purple is the color associated with royalty, and clearly Western is amazing. So, yeah.
Are you smart? Well, that's a relevant question. I think Liz is pretty smart.
Thank you. You're smart too, Jonas.
Thanks. I think realistically, anyone who is accepted to this university is fairly smart because, again, the entrance average is pretty high. So you've got to have good, strong marks coming out of high school in order to get accepted. Do you want to give a couple of yours?
Sure. So I'm going to group together some that are involved with residents. So what happens if you get a roommate you don't like or fight with? At the beginning of the year, you have to sit down and have a meeting with your RA or your residence advisor, and you sign a roommate agreement where it's like, I won't, play Lady Gaga at 2 a.m, which did happen one time. Not to me, but to like someone else on my floor. And like they had like a little calm meeting about it. But there are people who are there on the floor to help make sure that your roommate and you don't, spontaneously combust. It's very rare, but it can happen where you can switch rooms if it's a complete total disaster. But most of the time you can compromise and adapt, and that's something I had challenge with because again, I am a morning person. So I prefer, go to bed at 10, up at 6. But in first year, I adapted, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed at 12 and get up at 10. So I learned a lot about, give and take. And so that was a life skill I learned. And I absolutely loved residence. At first it was hard, but once I learned that, be flexible, it was great. So what do you do for food if you live in res and don't want calf food every day? One, calf food is absolutely incredible. I miss it every day. The butter chicken is really good. because it's a revolving schedule, so there's always something different. There's always vegetarian options, there's healthy options, but there's also like the greasy options if you really want that. If you don't want that, in the basement of the University Community Center, there is a grocery store, so you can get lots there and you can prepare food. Like, you know, they have a big bulk section, fresh food, so you can grab it there. The Spoke and the Wave are 2 restaurants, as well as the Grad Club, very popular. Center Spot in the University Community Center, so there is lots of options if you're sick of calf food. And then the other question is, how do you live without calf food? So in that case, again, depending on your residence, there's only one residence where you don't have to have a meal plan. In that case, you can just go to a local grocery store and grab food. I didn't go off campus in my first year, so for a calendar year, I didn't go into a grocery store, and then I went into one of those massive Loblaws up in Masonville, which is a nearby mall, and my jaw dropped because I didn't remember what a grocery store was like. And I was like, wow, this is huge. People buy food here. Like, you have to make food. It doesn't just come to you. And that was a big adjustment moving into second year, was that in first year, you're like, wow, I'm hungry. And you walk downstairs in your pajamas and you get food. In second year, you have to pre-think your hunger and, you know, cook. And then one last question before I toss it back over to Jonas. When do you get your schedule? Schedule. We're very different people, Jonas. We've had many. I am American, but I don't think schedule is Canadian. We've had many conversations about that. But when do you get your schedule? It's during the summer. And again, summer academic orientation, you'll have an upper year mentor such as myself who will help create your schedule. You can do it on your own. It depends on, you know, obviously you want to do it at the beginning of first year course registration because that's when, you know, there's more flexibility with courses in terms of timing. But I did it, and I was super cocky coming into Western. And I was like, wow, I know everything. You know, I made my own course, I made my own schedule. And I signed myself up for a class I shouldn't have necessarily been in, and it was still fine, but I should have been in a different course. And they would have caught that mistake at summer academic orientation. So these people are very well trained. I've done training for 3 years in a row. So you do get your schedule in the summer. And bonus, the way course registration works at Western is that it's staggered, and first years get the first option at courses, which is really nice. So you are guaranteed to get into any course that's mandatory for your module. So you will always get in, which is super nice. So it goes first years, fourth years and fifth years, third years, second years. So depending on how mandatory it is to get into course. But again, if you have a course requirement for graduation, you will always get into it no matter what year you're in.
Okay. I've got great questions and great drawings, but first, I don't know who did this one, but the joke is fantastic. I'm going to read it to you. If polar bears were actually polar, they'd dissolve in water. I'm a science kid, and I really appreciate that joke. So, good job.
Speaking of Jonas being a science kid, Jonas is in science and in arts and humanities, so you can combine your degree in like the Lego blocks ways, where you can do lots of combinations of things. What's your
I'm
program?
going to speak about that. I'm a major in bio and a minor in theater studies. So I have lots of cool questions. I'm going to cover as many of them as I can. Some of them overlap. I have the same question twice, one with proper grammar and one without. The question being, are there parties every week? And then the person who wrote this one said, is there lots of parties? I'm sorry. You're gonna have to work on your grammar. Don't put that on your like admissions essay or whatever. You know, be sure to proofread. Okay, so are there parties every week? Are there a lot of parties? Western has a bit of a reputation as a party school, and indeed it is a really social school. People are very involved. That doesn't mean A, you have to attend the parties if you don't want to, or B, that parties have to necessarily detract from your academic life. There's, especially in residence, there's a ton of opportunity to be social, to have a good time, let loose, and I think it's an important part of student life to take the time to unwind and relax, because if you just go, and you never take the time to just let loose every once in a while, you'll go a little bit crazy. It's not necessarily the best option for mental health. So yeah, there will always be a party if you want to find one. And maybe you want to throw one yourself. You know, make your own opportunities.
And that being said, I'm not really that type of person. I prefer to just, you know, sit at home. So, you know, there's any experience out there, it's your choice to, you know, get involved in absolutely anything. I didn't have that party experience. I still had a great time. So it's completely your option. So
What's great is Western is a really big school, so there are other people guaranteed who have similar lifestyle choices or similar interests as you. So you will be able to find friends who are as go hard or as laid back as you want. There's a couple people asking what sort of language courses are offered. There are a lot of language courses. I don't know if I could name them all. French, German, Italian, Spanish,
Arabic,
Arabic, Persian,
Alright.
I think.
Japanese, yes.
Japanese, is there a Korean?
Spanish, Italian, lots.
There are lots. What kind of future do I have if I major in a language course? What's great about majoring in languages is they are like eminently practical. Just the skill of being bi or trilingual is incredibly valuable in lots of different aspects in terms of working in any sort of like political or business sphere, any sort of like international relations. Totally valuable. Sure.
How many hours a week do you have class? 15 or less for myself. And that's not that many. Science students, for example, have a lot more. They have over double that. But that's balanced out by the amount of readings I have to do at home. So, for every class, for every hour of class, they say, add another hour or two for readings. And it's important to make sure you balance that because sometimes you won't be able to do all the readings. It's about prioritizing. And yes, do as many as possible. But it's also learning about how to, what's mandatory. So going off of that, how do you manage to get your best grades and keep up with other important things in extracurriculars? Time management. My prof actually just had a time management lecture in our class because she noticed that a lot of students were struggling with that. So something I'm a big fan of is, building up. And in my first year, I backed out of being a part of a play. They asked me to be an assistant stage manager, and there were 2 meetings a week. And I said I would do it, and then I backed out, and I said, no, that's too much for me. But then I got involved in some other things, and I built up time. And now in 4th year, I have more hours of meetings than I do of class. And so I couldn't have made it to that level without, trying things in first year and building up. And in your first time at Western, when you come, a lot of your projects and assignments will be worth very little. So for example, the first paper I ever wrote was worth 5%. And that's because the professors know that you're undergoing a huge transition. And so that you're able to be brought up to the level of, extracurriculars, clubs, grades, assignments, social life, everything. I really recommend an agenda or just something that's really popular for first year students is at the bookstore. You can buy this big calendar and you can do it either by month or day, like 4 months at a time or 1 month at a time. Saved my life in first year because I could write down, assignments and exams and you could see it all laid out. So, buy an agenda, and I know that can seem, very 6th grade. I had an agenda up to grade 8, never through high school. I had to get one for university because you do have a lot going on. So balance, it's a trick and a technique that you have to learn, but it will save you down the road.
Let's see. Can you choose specifically who your roommate is if you want to be with your friend? Yes. In the residence application, you can mark down somebody who's also incoming at Western to be your roommate, and they will do the same on theirs, and they will match you if at all possible. And I don't think there's really ever it's pretty much guaranteed.
You just have to fill out your questionnaire exactly the same.
Let's see. This is not a question, but it says I love food, so that's great. I also love food.
Going off of that, there was a question about Mucha Burrito, how to actually get there. It's in the Natural Science Center. So to actually get there, it's just hop out of the University Community Center, turn left, you see all the buses. That's the Natural Science Center. It's a big hub on campus for buses. The other one is Alumni Hall. So yeah, follow the buses. Mucha Burrito's right in the back, follow the signs. I saw a few questions about this. How do you decide what to take in university, and what if you make the wrong decision? I don't know if I mentioned this before, but up to 80% of students change their program at some time. It's very easy. In your first year, you're accepted to a faculty, not a program. So what that means is in your first year, you are in, say, Arts and Humanities, and you're aiming to get into a program for second year. So in terms of deciding what you want to take, that's just a personal decision. You have some time to think about it, which is great. If you make the wrong decision, you can change. A lot of my friends changed. My friend Heather changed 5 times, and she's still graduating on time. So there is no wrong decision because anything is fixable. One of my friends, he took 7 years to get his undergrad, but you know what? He did it, and now he does something that he absolutely loves. So it's very flexible.
A good question here. Can my dog live and res with me? No. Unfortunately, no pets, no fish, no hamsters. Some people do have illicit pets. Somebody on my floor when I was in first year had a hamster, but they're not allowed. So, no, your dog. It's a lot harder to hide a dog than a hamster. You can't just put it in the closet. There was, where is it? Yes. Can you explain how minoring and majoring works? If that makes any sense. That makes total sense. What's great with Western is the module program we have here is very, very, very flexible. It allows you to take incredibly interdisciplinary approaches to your degree. So my major is biology in the Faculty of Science. My minor is in theater studies in the Faculty of Arts and Humanities. Two very disparate things. You would never think to put them together, but it's really easy. At Western, you just declare in your intent to register what you want to do. You can take a major from any faculty, any department, a minor from any faculty, any department, or do a double major. As long as you can plan your schedule to fulfill your schedule
There we go.
to fulfill your degree requirements, as long as you can get the courses out of the way, then you have absolutely no problem graduating with whatever structure of degree. It's very much like a sort of Lego system. You just sort of slot in whatever major and minor you want. Yes? No, you can totally finish a double major in 4 years. The only thing that will result in is you'll have less room for elective courses. So because you'll have so many courses required for each of your majors, you'll have very little room to take courses outside of those required courses.
And I just had Dr. Hatch signal to me. I think we're at the end of our day. Thank you guys so much for coming here today. Thank you. Yay, one person clapped.
Yeah.